It's just this simple. There are too many kids in Harford County without beds. Sleep in Heavenly Peace not only builds, assembles, and delivers beds, but provides families with these much-needed items for children that have never owned a bed in their life. They are truly making a difference in our community, as can you. Join us in the next 30 minutes as we hear all about their efforts. I'm Christy Breslin, and this is Harford MagaScene. I'm now joined with Gavin Daly. He is the president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, the Harford County chapter, doing such great things here in Harford County. No kid sleeps on the floor. We're going to find out more about what this organization does and, of course, who leads it. Gavin, thanks so much.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Now, Gavin, what is the mission of Sleep in Heavenly Peace?
It's just as you talked about before, the mission is to ensure that no kid sleeps on the floor in our town. It's something that people understand, but they're not as aware of as we'd like. We estimate, the national organization estimates about 3% of kids go to sleep every night or try to go to sleep, but don't have a bed to sleep in. And we want to get those kids off the ground into those situations where they can benefit from a safe and comfortable bed.
How many chapters are there, and how long has the Harford County chapter been in existence?
Yeah, so the organization's a little more than 10 years old. It started just as like many good ideas started. One idea, we had a gentleman named Luke, built a bed for a kid family who needed one. Turned out that worked out really well. Someone else asked for one. It went from one person building beds in one town to multiple people building beds in multiple towns. And now across the country, we're one of more than 300 chapters of Sleep in Heavenly Peace.
That is amazing. Now, you're the president. When did you first become involved and why?
So we as a community, particularly through Falls United Methodist Church, we're looking for a mission to support. Right now, the primary funding of this organization locally has come from that church, but we generate money across our county and people continue to give. Similar to what I said before, good idea. I found the idea of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, like a good idea, pulled on it, and there was something at the end of that rope, and we just kept following it, and it brought us here. We've been at this for just about 2 years, but we did our first deliveries last December, and since then we've delivered more than 280 beds over the last 12 months to kids in Harford County.
That is absolutely incredible. Now, is this an all volunteer-based organization?
It's a volunteer-driven organization. All of us in Harford County are volunteers. I'm fortunate to be joined with a core team of people who give a lot of time, a lot of effort. We've had more than 1,000 volunteers collectively over the builds that we've done so far through the last 12 months.
Well, as you know, and we all know, it's not cheap to get beds, and it's not cheap to make bunk beds. So where do you get the funds to build all these?
It's the generosity of people in our community. We have some sponsors like the Lions Club or Society of Italian American Businessmen, others, and if I fail to mention all of you, thank you all, but we get organizations like that. Lowe's is a national sponsor of Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and then primarily, as I mentioned before, Falls United Methodist Church has blessed us with their generosity. The community there, they've donated a portion of their giving the last 2 Christmas Eves to Sleep in Heavenly Peace because it's a mission that really resonates with us at that church.
Gavin, give me your perspective. Why should people volunteer for Sleep in Heavenly Peace?
Well, listen, you're giving right back into the community. 90 cents of every dollar goes directly to what you see in a bed. The headboard, baseboard, the rails, the mattresses, the bedding. That's a really good efficiency in terms of you're going to give money. It's going to go right to a child in need, right in our community. We service towns from Edgewood to Aberdeen to Fallston to Joppatown and others. So it's highly efficient. Your money's going to go right to the community. And why volunteer? I mean, what's better than helping a child and helping people in your community?
Gavin, thank you so much. This is so exciting, and it's so wonderful for Harford County because it's amazing how many kids there are in need.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to let people know all about Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, coming up next, we're going to speak to the vice president and we'll find out more about how you can volunteer and make a difference. Dave Moyer is the vice president here for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. He's a very familiar face here in Harford County. He gives back to a lot of the nonprofit organizations. But why work with Sleep in Heavenly Peace? Dave is here to tell us all about his experience and why it could be a good experience for you. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Christy. How are you?
Great.
Thanks for having us today.
Well, thanks for being here. Now, Dave, what drew you to volunteer and spend your time helping lead Sleep in Heavenly Peace? Because you're a very active person in our community.
Well, I know Gavin had said we had been looking at it for 2 years. Gavin found it and brought it to a bunch of people that were interested in looking at it. And the more, as he said, when we kept pulling on that rope, when we got to the end of it, and then we also all watched the Mike Rowe special, Giving Back, which talked about Sleep in Heavenly Peace and which actually put it on the map. Before that special aired on TV, I think there was 15 or 20 chapters around the United States, and then within months of that airing, they were getting chapters every other month, and everybody saw how great of a ministry it actually is, and the difference you can make in a kid's life.
And what makes Sleep in Heavenly Peace Harford County different from the other chapters? What really stands out?
Our Harford County chapter, one of the things that's special, I think, for everybody in the group, we weren't sure when they were telling us the need. Tanya Chandler, who handles our volunteering, she works for the county schools, and she said she knew there was 150 kids in the 21040 zip code that didn't have beds, and everybody's looking at each other like there's no way that could be. Not in Edgewood, not in Harford County, not in the state of Maryland, and it's true. When Gavin and I were out in Utah, we talked about opening up all of the zip codes in Harford County right away, and they said there's no way you couldn't handle it, and they knew what they were talking about. The need that we're seeing, as Gavin said, we delivered 280 beds, and we haven't been going for a year yet.
That is incredible. Now, Dave, let me ask you this. People that have absolutely zero building skills, like myself, can they still participate?
Yes, they can still participate. When we do a build, we set it up. We have coaches at each station. It's like an assembly line where it starts with the cutting of the wood gets sanded, it goes to the tap where they actually hit it with a hammer to mark where the drill marks go in the boards, and they go through the drill press, and then go to the assembly. It's very simple, very easy. Even the deliveries, I was just talking to Tracy, and I said, the first thing I ask when I'm leading a delivery team, do you know how to use a drill? And if they say no, they're the first ones that's going to be helping drill in the bed. It's very easy to learn if they're not afraid of it, and I haven't found anybody that's afraid of it yet.
Now, how are the supplies given to the organization? They're donated, from what you said?
All of our bedding, for the most part, is donated except for the mattresses.
Okay.
We have to purchase those from Sleep in Heavenly Peace or an outside vendor. We've got a national deal with Lowe's. I go up and order the lumber each month from my salesman at Lowe's, and Lowe's just gives us an unbelievable deal on the lumber. As I said, they're a corporate sponsor of Sleep in Heavenly Peace across the United States, and they deliver the wood directly to the church. Actually, we had a delivery this morning that I went over and covered up because we're having a build tomorrow. But most of the other things I order offline, or Sleep in Heavenly Peace has the screws and the bolts and things like that. But the strapping and the staples and the tools we order online and get those mostly through Amazon.
Well, Dave, for tomorrow's build, run me through start to finish. How does it go?
Start to finish will show up. The first volunteers are there at 7 o'clock for setup. We set up all the stations, we set up all the saws, we set up all the sanders on the tables, all the other tables that hold lumber, the storage areas, the stain station, and it just flows through. We've got the people come in segments. The first group comes in at 8:30, or the cutters and the sanders. The next group comes in maybe at 8:45 or 9 o'clock, who are the tappers and the drillers. And then we also have the slat people that make the slats for the beds that the mattresses sit on. So we've got 3 different functions going on all at the same time in an assembly line format. And it's just everybody working together with the coaches, showing everybody how to do it. And once they get them going, they just take off and do great work.
Sounds like a very well-oiled assembly line. That's impressive.
Absolutely. Actually, the first couple we did, every time we had one, we said, what can we do better? And we're still doing that. But we've gotten it down now to where we can do 40 beds in about 4 hours, start to finish, so which is pretty good.
Now, if someone wants to volunteer, how do they sign up? And is there a minimum age requirement for this?
Well, they can follow us on Facebook and sign up that way and get on our email list. And they can also go to shpbeds.org and go to the Harford County chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And also the age restrictions. You can volunteer from 8 to 18. From 8 to 12, you have to have a parent or a guardian there with you working the machine or whatever, the drill press or whatever you're doing. And from 13 to 18, you just have to have a parent or guardian on site. They don't have to be there working the machines and the drills with you.
Dave, thank you so much. It really sounds like not only is it going to such a good cause, but it sounds like everybody really enjoys what they're doing.
Absolutely. We've got a good core of people here that work together so well. When you see a build day and you've got 15 people running around, setting up, putting everything together and getting ready for the volunteers and then coaching the volunteers, it's an amazing thing to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And seeing the face of the kids that receive the beds, priceless.
Oh, that is definitely priceless. I've been on many deliveries, and I tell everybody about the one delivery that a buddy around the corner went with me, my wife and my daughter went with me, and everybody had tears running down their face after we left. The mother was hugging us, the kids were hugging us, just thanking us for having a bed. And one of the videos I have, we've got a mother in the background. You can hear her shouting, "Your first bed!" And it's just so touching to see and hear that and know that you're a part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Now that right there is why you should become involved and volunteer your time for this wonderful organization. Now, how do we get the beds to the kids? We'll hear more about the delivery process coming up. Kim Bachman is the delivery manager for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And I got to talk to Kim a little bit off camera. She's so passionate about what she does, and just the smile and the reaction from the kids and the families when they get these beds is just second to none. She's here to tell us all about the delivery process and, of course, the reaction from the families and from the kids. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Christy. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for having us. Now, Kim, a lot of people are in need of beds right now, but there is an application process, and you lead that off. So what is the process like?
So people can find us through a variety of means. Oftentimes, they might get a flyer from school or whatever if they're a student that's bringing it home. Other times, other people see it online. They've seen it on news programs like yours. They've seen it in the paper. But shpbeds.org is the key to getting your application in. And when you go to that website, it asks for your zip code. And the zip code is what really screens you and brings you to the correct SHP chapter. And then you fill out a series of questions. It's not hard. It's really very simple. And then that series of questions is entered into, it goes into a system that Sleep in Heavenly Peace Corporate provides for us that's awesome, because it then funnels all of those applications that are for our chapter directly to my email. Well, it goes into a system, and I also get a notification in my email. And then I can review the application, and then I have a series of steps that I follow through with, because people apply and sometimes they don't understand, or maybe they're trying to figure out what they need and they need some help. So I've discovered over time, because we've been doing this for several months, that I use a series of text messages first, because most of the population that's applying are young people. Sometimes they're grandparents, sometimes they're parents. So I will go through that process with text message, and if I don't get a response, then I call them. I've become very good friends with Google Translate because we have a number of folks in Harford County that English is not their first language. So that helps me to communicate with people, and now I kind of have a script that I use to get us through the qualification process and get them to a waiver that's very easy. And oftentimes, if people don't use their email, I found that I text the waiver to them, and then that gets the process rolling.
Now, what about requirements? Are there certain requirements that need to be met?
Really, the only requirement is that your child does not have a bed. So, I've had to I checked my records before I came. I've only had 3 or 4 that I've had to say, I'm sorry, but the priority is for people whose children are sleeping on the floor, who don't have a bed. Occasionally, people would like to upgrade their beds. And that's not what the purpose of this is for. The purpose is to get kids off the floor first and foremost, but there's not really a requirement.
That's great. Now, we spoke about the build days, so let's talk about the delivery days.
Yeah, so deliveries, typically we have a delivery team of 4. I like to have a woman on each crew if that's possible, because sometimes our recipients may have been victims of domestic violence, or we really just need someone else that has a softer touch. And as some of the men on the delivery team tell me, they really like that the women can make the beds better than they can. My husband has taken recent instructions from me on how to do square corners, because he's had a couple of times where he's been on a crew and there weren't any women to make the beds. But we take 4 people, and typically the lead and one person, so we always go into the home and look at the space where the bed is going to go first, because safety is a big priority for us. I ask people to send me photos of the cleared rooms in advance, because we want to make sure, number 1, that we have space, and number 2, we don't want our volunteers to risk themselves and having to move furniture or clear things out, or not have a clear pathway to be able to get in with the materials to assemble the beds. So once that's ascertained, then we begin bringing things in. But they bring the materials in, and then they get to work. And we give them 2 sets of sheets and 2 blankets. One's a cozy blanket that they can go sit and cuddle with, and another blanket for their bed, as well as a pillow and pillowcase. Chrissy, it's just been amazing to see what happens. And I'll tell you a story if you'd like.
I'd love to hear a story. Tell me a story that particularly stands out in your mind, something that really resonated with you.
It was a family that had moved recently to Harford County from the Virginia area. One of the cleanest homes I've been in, and they had 5 children. And the mom said to me, do you want to see the other child? Because there were like 2 watching TV or whatever. And I said, no, it's okay. But she opened the door, and it was a king size, it looked like a king size mattress on the floor with just blankets. And the whole family was sleeping, 5 children and 2 parents, on this king size mattress in her room. So we put together the bunk beds, and then we put together the 2 single beds in the girls' rooms. The children could not have been more delightful, just so happy, so helpful. It was one of those early spring days where it was warm, but we went out thinking it was cold, and I'm sweating, and the little boy brings me a bottle of water. But I had to have the 11-year-old help translate for me, because there was a non-English speaking family. But what really just struck me is that when we made the bed for her, she asked the person, how do I get in my bed? She didn't know how to get into her bed because she had not slept in a bed that had linens on it. How do I get in my bed? It wasn't a bunk bed. It was a single bed. And so it's like, wow, what are we doing for these families? Because wherever they've come from, whatever their past has been, that hasn't been something that they've been afforded, and it was new. And I thought, wow, this is a huge thing. This 11-year-old didn't know how to do it, but her siblings are going to have the benefit of that they're going to grow up, and not only are going to have their day started much better, but they were so thrilled. They were so happy. The smiles just really got you. But the fact that she didn't know how to get into a made bed, that struck me.
Yeah, absolutely. That strikes me too.
That struck me. So, we know what we're doing is really great for these kids, and just the confidence that it gives them that they have things that, number 1, belong to them. It's their bed. It's their blanket. They're not sharing it with the whole family. That's huge. That's huge. And give them that confidence to start their day out, right? It's a good day to have a good day when you get up from your own bed.
Absolutely. And I just don't think, a lot of kids don't realize how lucky they are. They just assume everybody has a bed.
Right.
So this is just such a great service to Harford County.
Right.
Now, Kim, we talked about the delivery process, we talked about the build, but there's a lot more that Sleep in Heavenly Peace offers. So I'm excited. We're going to get to that next. But just one more time for our viewers, why volunteer?
When you give, you get a lot more than you give. I watched my parents volunteer when I was growing up, doing lots of different things, and it's just been part of my heart, and some of my children have followed that. And I think, when you bring something to the table, there's a reason to get up every day and do something beyond serving yourself. We go to work to earn money for other things, but when we give of our own personal time to serve others, the blessing can't get any bigger.
Absolutely. Now, we talked about the build, we talked about the delivery. We're going to talk more about some of the other services they provide when we come back. Tracy Newell is the bedding manager here for Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Now, we've talked about how they build the beds. We talked about how they deliver the beds, but we haven't talked about what they provide with the beds when you get the delivery, and Tracy is here to do that. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, thanks for coming today.
Now, Tracy, we talked about building the beds, delivering the beds, but there's also more that is provided, and that's where you come in.
Most families don't expect us to come in with a comforter, a blanket, 2 sets of sheets, a pillow, and an encasement that protects the mattress from any of life's adventures for a child. So we walk in and they are just completely blown away that we're giving them so much more than what they expect.
Absolutely. Now, how do you get the bedding?
We are so blessed because all of our bedding is donated. It's all brand new. It's all in new packages, never been used by anybody else. And they get 2 sets of sheets as well, and it's all donated through the generosity of our community.
Now, when you donate, the money that is donated, does that go towards building the beds, the delivery, or the supplies that you're providing?
Primarily goes to the supplies and the building. As I said, all of the bedding, with the exception of the mattresses, is completely donated by the community.
Now, I want to talk about some of these quilts. We're going to show you some pictures of these wonderful quilts. What is the story behind them?
It's amazing. We've been contacted by local quilting guilds, some of which are affiliated with some churches in Harford County, and I don't know if you know quilters. I have a quilter in my family, and she loves to quilt. But you have quilts, and you need to give them to somebody. And the guilds love to give their quilts. And so we've been so blessed to have them say, oh, I have 20, I have 5. I have one that donated 181 quilts to us.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And that's very time consuming, and those quilts are warm.
Yes, and they're beautiful, and people have taken such care and time to create them, and then they're donating them to the community.
How can someone help with bedding?
So in addition to donating to us, we have volunteers that come and pack all the bedding up. We have a bag that's got everything that goes on that bed, and it's sorted by size and by gender. And so we just take these bags with us when we deliver. Everything's right there, and it's ready to go.
Now, Tracy, what does Sleep in Heavenly Peace, what does this organization mean personally to you? I mean, why do you give so much of your time?
I give because I had no idea. I had no idea that there were children in Harford County that weren't sleeping in a bed. I've always had a bed. My kids had beds. My family, we've always had beds. We've never needed a bed. And to think that, oh my goodness, there are all these children in Harford County that don't have beds. And we're going to change that. And that's important to me.
Now, Tracy, how do we go about making these donations?
Oh, it's so easy. You can make a purchase in a store and drop it directly off at Foston United Methodist Church, or we have an Amazon wish list, and it gets shipped right to us right here, and it's very easy.
Tracy, thank you again so much. It's just the services that you provide and what you do for the community are just so appreciated, and these kids finally getting their own beds. Absolutely. What more can you ask for?
Oh, we're making a difference. We really are. Thank you so much for highlighting it.
Oh, absolutely. And volunteers are the backbone of this organization. Coming up next, we're going to speak to a high school senior who tells us about his experience volunteering with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Evan Chacona is a high school senior at Falston, and this guy has a very packed schedule, but he still makes time to volunteer with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. He's here to tell us about his experience and why he continues to come back again and again. Hi, Evan.
Hi, how are you?
So, Evan, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're a senior at Falston High School?
Yep, I'm a senior at Falston High School. I'm in a bunch of clubs. I do pole vault, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's pretty fun. I do cross country. Senior, so yeah, it's a pretty good school. I like it a lot.
Evan, with all that you do, you still make time to volunteer with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. How do you do that?
It's really easy. They just have like a bunch of builds during the weekend. So you could do in the morning, which I always do those options because I feel like I always like them the best. And you could also do like evening, and there's like different time slots where you could just pick and you can kind of work your own time where you could do best.
Now, before you started volunteering with them, were you aware how many kids were without beds in Harford County?
It's really crazy. You never really realize until you go there during the delivery day. So my first delivery day, I went there and it was really like breathtaking, like how, much you don't realize and how much you take for granted until you see it.
What does a build look like from a volunteer's perspective?
So usually you sign up during a time slot and you come with like probably 8 or 9 other people that come around the same time as you, and one of the leads will lead you to your station and they'll like talk you through what to do. So there's either like sanding or cutting wood or staining the wood, and they'll tell you like how to do it, and you can just jump right into it, and it's pretty great.
Now, is it hard to learn the steps in the process, like using the tools?
No, not at all. So before this, I had never used a power tool. The only power tool I used was a handheld drill. And so the first power tool I used here was a sander. And all the other tools, they're so simple. They have the leads walking around. If you need help, you could just ask for help. They give you a quick demonstration at first, and it's really simple.
Does Sleep in Heavenly Peace have a lot of young volunteers like yourself? Because I know it can really help in high school, maybe with service hours or National Honor Society. A lot of clubs will give you credit for your volunteerism in the community.
Yeah, so one of the times a lot of my cross-country team showed up, and it's all ages from like young to old. A lot of my neighbors bring their kids along also, and it's really cool to see like all the younger kids get into it also.
Now, Evan, let me ask you this. Can you get volunteer credits or community credits at your school for this?
Yeah, so I'm in NHS, and a lot of the time I use it for NHS hours. It works on like service hours for anything. It's really great to, get hours and help out the community while you do it.
What message do you have for someone considering volunteering, donating, or just getting involved?
If you're scared or like worried that you might not be able to do it, just go to the build day and it'll be really great. The first time I was, a little nervous, like I didn't know if I would be able to, do it right, but it's fine. If you mess up, you're okay. There's going to be a ton of people there like cheering you on, like, and able to help you there also. So just show up to a build day and it'll truly be great.
Evan, thank you again so much for all that you do. We hope to have more young volunteers just like yourself.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
And just keep in mind, like Evan said, you can get service hours for school. Maybe you're in National Honor Society, or you can just come out like Evan and help out of the kindness of your heart. As you've seen today, the passion, the dedication, the hard work that goes into making these beds, delivering these beds, and making sure no kid sleeps on the floor in our town is absolutely essential to our Harford County community. If you would like to learn more, get involved, donate, or just come out to a build, you can always visit them at shpbeds.org. I'm Christy Breslin. See you next month on Harford MagaScene.